to you guys a little bit about housekeeping and stuff like that, but the two of us will kind of help things roll along. And we are so excited today to have Marianne Baer. When I first met Marianne, she was a fiber artist at the time, or showing fiber at the art fair at Queenie Park, and she was across from me. And her work is it's something you've got to look at and absorb. And I mean, it just tells a story, and it's just amazing. And then she also does ceramics and um, off, you know, out of out of the out of the box type stuff. Not your normal everyday stuff. It's funky, it's fun. And then we also have Melynda Lotven joining us today. And gosh, Melynda, we met a long time ago, I think, at Fall into Art in Columbia, Missouri. Melynda has been a part of that show forever. And also, too, I've seen her down at, I think I seen you down at Silver Dollar City when I first joined Best of Missouri Hands. Melynda was a long time Best Missouri Hands artist down there at Silver Dollar City. But glad to have everybody here today. I think this is a very timely topic, especially as things start to change in the art show world and stuff like that. We're all looking for other options of income and stuff. So these two ladies, they've been doing the home shows for a while, and they know their stuff. So I'm gonna let Wanda jump in here, kind of get things rolling, and then we'll get going.
Good morning. Today, because one, there's a lot of us and we have two speakers, we would ask if you have questions to either physically raise your hand or use the raise hand feature down at the bottom of your screen. If you get your cursor down at the bottom of the screen and you don't see something like that, you'll see something called reactions, a little smiley face, and it says reactions. If you click on that, you can then click on something that looks like raise hand, or it actually says raise hand, depending on how you have your Zoom set up. And then what Kim or I will do is, when there's a break in the flow, we'll acknowledge you, and you can unmute and ask your question so that you can ask it timely. Or if you prefer, you can also write your question in chat, and Kim and I will watch for the chat and do the same thing that way, whichever way you prefer. And at the end, we'll just open it up and we can talk freely once we're through the main part of the presentation. And if you have any questions or problems, again, in chat, Kim and I will be monitoring that and can address any of your problems at that point. With that, let's turn it over and get started.
All right, Marianne, why don't you go ahead and give a little introduction. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you kind of got started in the home shows.
Hello, I'm Marianne, and I've been doing more ceramics lately than fiber, but I do have my hands in a bunch of different things at the same time. So I started doing my home shows, I was thinking it was 35 years ago. And my mom's an artist, and I think she and I just had our stuff together and invited our friends over. And then it became bigger. And I thought, well, people are interested in our work, but there are people interested in other people's work. So I thought, well, I'm going to invite other artists. So I intentionally invited artists that didn't do the same medium. Obviously, I didn't have ceramicists when I was doing my ceramics. For competition reasons, and also for, if I'm trying to get a variety of medium, then, you just don't want to have a pile up of the same stuff. So been doing them since then. I've had up to 9 artists or 10 artists in my house. So I have to let you know, my house is really long right now. It's a ranch, and I go from near where the front door is, to the other side of my house. And my basement is just as big, which is my studio. And I often have my stuff down there because, when the show's at your house, you get to show everything you want to, anything you want to, and whereas my guest artists get, something like a 10 by 10 spot or whatever they fit into. So they don't get the privilege of having as much stuff as I do. And my seconds, people like seconds too. Yeah, Melynda, you want to introduce?
Mine was about 30. This will be my 30th year. And I had a few people well, actually, probably had 5 other crafters, not necessarily artists, because gourds and anyway, gourds hover between the craft and the art world, and now I've boasted myself up to more of an artist status. But in the beginning, I had about 5 other people who had different things, and it just got to a point where they weren't selling, and I would feel bad. And they were just coming out for the gourds. So eventually I just moved on to just having gourds out here, and that was working best. I live about 2.5 miles north of Stadium North in the country. So to get people out there was really my thing to do. And I was just really cutting my teeth on gourds. So that was about my 30th year has been, will be this year. As far as setting up, I just fill my house up with my gourds, which they are all the time anyway right now. My children are gone, and everything's just pretty much out. I have a gourd room, and so let's see, anything else? I'm sorry, I'm not really good at my train of thought at the moment. I think that's.
Does anybody have any questions before? I mean, I can tell you how I choose my artists, and et cetera.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and do that?
Okay, well, I try to start early, and I like to go to art shows around town to see if their product would fit in as far as not a media I don't have. Do they have a big following? So I want somebody with a good email list and a good following. And I've had people ask me, and I have to decide, is this too much craft for my artists? So I really do try to stick to art. Now, I don't want to start a big discussion about what art is and what craft is, because I think crafting and art, how's that? It's all the same, you craft and art. But I do need to be careful, that they make it all themselves, and that they can be proud of what they do and talk about themselves and how they make the product. Because I think people come to learn. One of the reasons they come to your house is so that they can talk directly to the artist and feel more comfortable with them, and feel like they're buying a piece of the artist, just like at regular art fairs. So it's more homey here, and people come back. Let's see. So we usually have, once we decide who's going to be in the show, and I try to get 8-ish. And a couple of those include my 2 daughters, who don't take up much space, and my mom, who doesn't take up too much space. So they're usually tucked in somewhere. We have a meeting to figure out where people will be and how easily their booths will fit into a space. They get to choose, and we get to discuss how flexible their booths can be. I used to have 2 shows forever. I had a summer show, and I had, a spring show and a holiday show. I lately have stopped my spring show, honestly, because it is just so much work to do these shows. I have to move my furniture out. I have to create space. Things have to go upstairs and downstairs, and it's quite a bit of work to have it. It's rewarding, but I think everybody sells better in the holiday shows also. So I have to ask my artists to commit to my show pretty early on, because the holiday season's busy for everybody. So we make assignments to where they'll be and what kind of food they'll bring. So I'm all about the food that we serve, and noshes and things for our customers, nothing big. I'm not serving a turkey or anything. And but I am sure that my people, my artists, get to eat something good, and we discuss that and that kind of a thing. So I'll go on to advertising a little later if anybody has any questions.
Marianne,
Yeah.
What time of year is your holiday show? Is it like October or November, December? And how many days is it?
So my shows are usually, my holiday shows 3 days, my spring shows used to be 2 days, and it seems to be about the first week in December nowadays, or maybe the second week in December. You have to toss up around Hanukkah and Thanksgiving and and when people are available. So it's approximately that first weekend in December, depending on where that lays. And we on a
Okay.
Friday.
Melynda,
Oh, I'm sorry. Go on.
Go ahead.
The same, being consistent, and mine is usually the first weekend and full weekend in December. And I did do it Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for a while, and then I thought, I'm just going to do it Saturday and Sunday, and that was just like in the last 5 years. And even in the evening on Fridays, I would have like a wine thing on Fridays, but it's kind of whittled itself down to the 2 days in the first weekend of December for me. So
And you serve food too, Melynda? You have some kind of
I serve food.
snacks
Absolutely.
or something?
Yes, absolutely. I put food out, and then again in the beginning and all those things, I was serving all kinds of things, and like I said earlier, I'm kind of down to the Aldi specialty and cookies. Lots of different kinds of cookies and coffee, water, that type of stuff. And yeah, always have the food out for that, and candies, that type of thing, but that's where I'm at this point.
So we have wine
Okay.
starting at noon on the Saturdays and Sundays, and we usually open at 10 or 11. And then we certainly have wine on Friday night. I've even had a couple musical guests. I don't know if it changed things or not, but it was sort of fun. I like having guests.
That's-
Cindy?
How about marketing?
Oh,
Go ahead.
well, wait, just like Cindy had a quick question about
Yeah,
whatever.
I was just curious how, like, if let's say if I wanted to start doing this, or somebody wanted to start doing it, do you think a 3-day event is the ideal scenario? Do you think start with 2, just from your hit or miss with doing it?
So for me, it's so much work to set up my show. And for me to get out every one of my little products, or as much as I want to show, it's worth it for me to do 3 days. In fact, I've considered having it for a week and then just having my artists come the last 3 days. I haven't quite gotten to that point, but it may happen, because I'm the gallery now. I don't show really in many galleries, and I don't do any shows around St. Louis. So, if you want to see my stuff, it has to be this limited amount of time.
As far as attendance though, do you feel like, do people come really those whole 3 days, or are you, I guess, Friday night your premiere time, or?
Depends on the weather, depends on COVID, depends on vacations. It's the same as everything else. We get a good turnout. I don't know, I should have counted sometime. We get over 100 people here, and a large percentage will buy, and they'll bring their friends. And I put the signs outside in my neighborhood too. I live in Glendale and on Sappington, and we get some walk-ins who've done some nice purchasing. So, 3 days, yes, it's a really long time. But again, for me, it's so worth it. Like, there are times I left my stuff up, just cause.
I
had a question. I was wondering
ahead,
how
Mary.
much, I'm sorry, how much real estate do you have available to house 7 or 8 artists plus your own work throughout your house? Just curious.
I don't know how to answer that.
Okay.
Alive. I can show you a couple pictures of my shows.
Yeah, I'd like to see some pictures.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful.
Okay, let me see if I can do this, Kim.
Hey,
No, I can't. I have to go back to photos to share my photos.
Probably have to share your screen after you. bring
right,
it
share
on your
my
computer.
screen. Down at the
Well,
bottom.
and one thing, Maggie,
Uh-huh.
that I think to take into consideration is kind of like what Marianne's doing and probably what Melynda was doing in the past or some kind of try to figure out like how many people could you give kind of like a 10 by 10 space to,
Yeah,
or a 8 by 10 or something like that. Where could you actually, because like they're saying, you know, you got to move furniture and stuff like that. So,
yeah,
you know, your house might accommodate, you know, 3 other artists besides yourself. So, you know,
right.
it sounds like Marianne has a large house, you know, and I've
Yeah,
been to Melynda's house. It's gorgeous. So, you know, you got to kind of make your, if you're going to have other artists, because like Melynda now does it, you know, just her, and Marianne does it with other artists and stuff. So you got that option. You could do just a show of just with your art, or you could invite a
Okay.
couple of your friends that you think you could accommodate.
yeah. That's a
Yeah.
good idea.
So
Yeah.
yeah, they get awkward shapes. Not awkward
Yeah.
shapes. They get
Yeah.
a variety of shapes to put themselves into. Sorry about this, guys.
Okay. That's okay.
This is
That's very telling. Yeah.
so this is, I have 2 big couches and I usually put them back to back or end to end. I've tried everything. I put one on top of the other one once. Anyway, you know, obviously your couches are going nowhere. Just pretend this is 3 different artists. This is all me, but this was whatever year it was. So I had, you know, somebody can be here in front of the couches. There's this space back here that's a fairly big space. And then there's, you know, across the way and down and over. So I get at least 5 in my big room.
Wow. That's
Um,
great.
Yeah, and people don't usually complain about how much space they have because, well, I mean, because they're grateful to be in it, but
Oh, yeah.
I think also I can try to accommodate them, you know, and if they have overflow, they can put it in the basement with me, or if they have seconds or something, they can do that. I do have a very big house, and part of the reason we built the house, added on to the house in the way we did was so that we could use the house better. Like we entertain too, and it's a long house.
Oh, cool. Right.
Come to my show. And so back to advertising. Here I'm just trying to pull up some of my postcards. They're different all the time. I know I'm supposed to be consistent, and that's just not my MO. So I try. So here's one of them. Really, I just like to put a sample of everybody's work. We haven't sent a postcard in quite a while. We did for a little while if people had mailing lists with actual addresses. But we make 400 or 500 postcards, and then I give them to each artist to put everywhere, you know, in the gym, in their yoga studio, in their, you know, studio. Here's another one. We put everything on Facebook, and there's a Baer Home Show Instagram, Baer Home Show page, Facebook. I try really hard to get my people to do it themselves on their own thing. They need to be reminded. Like it sort of feels like I'm doing everything because it's at my house, but really that's not the intent. The intent is for me to provide a great place for them to have a show and have a great show. And then I want them to really participate as much as they can. So this was one of the banners for the Facebook page. And so this is some of the art, and then we would change the banner to other art.
So are you advertising on Facebook then?
You know, I never have purchased an ad.
Just put the banner up on.
Just keep doing it. You keep changing, change it every other day. There's a list of the artists and when they're supposed to be posting things. So this is Elizabeth's week, and this is, you know, Allison's week, and this is Marianne's week. Although I post all the time. I keep posting one of everybody's pieces. You know, I want to inundate people. And I know some people are like, oh, it's the holiday season. Everybody's inundated with everything. They won't see it, but their brains see it, right? They're like, Baer Home Show, Baer Home Show, Baer Home Show.
Right.
I do know one thing that I think helps too, Marianne, with yours. You have a separate Facebook page that is just for your home shows. And so I like that because I will see, you know, posts coming up on it, and then I can easily share those posts over to the Best Missouri Hands Facebook page and stuff like that. But I think that's a good idea that you have a page specifically designated for your home show.
Right, and I link my bear designs and my bear home show all the time. Like I tag each other so they know that. Well, even in my Marianne Baer Facebook page, you know, I'm like, hey, having a show, go over here.
We have another question too that I think is a good one. Patty asked, Patty, why don't you just unmute yourself and ask? Because Melynda and Marianne both need to respond to this.
Sure. I just was thinking about liability because that's, you know, for me, I have a studio in my home and I've often wanted to do open studios, but I'm concerned about liability and having the public. I mean, I think for the most part, you're bringing in people that you know, but I'm sure you get strangers that come in also. Have there been issues with, just say someone trips and falls, or if there's some kind of issue of bringing the public into your home, your own personal space?
I've never had a problem with that. And the, you know, I've just never had a problem as far as liability. I guess I figured home insurance. I've just never had a problem with it. And
Yes, same here. My homeowners should cover people coming in and out of my house if anything happens, if they trip and fall. I could totally be wrong, but you know, and in Glendale, I'm not actually supposed to have a business running out of my home where I have stock or something like that. So what I do is I call this, you know, my yearly garage sale, which you're allowed to have.
Yeah.
Or a club. Sometimes I have club because I teach classes, so people come over. They're okay.
One of the things that I'm replacing this year is our front. We have a long walkway with steps, and I do see people struggle up sometimes, the older ones. Sometimes I'll let them go, well, I'll let them come any entrance that they want, the basement and up, but usually they come up, but I'm having the steps replaced and I'm having a railing put in this year. So I'm upgrading on all of that.
And then are you upgrading because of your home show, Melynda?
Yeah, absolutely. Because of the home
Okay.
show, plus the steps we've been in this house for 35 years, or I forget how long, 35 years, and they need to be replaced. Things have to be replaced. We've had our back porch replaced, and so anyway, we're having this replaced, but the railing, I said, I want a railing, because you know, so that, and it's definitely for the home show. I am not as, mine is a small country show of my gourd art. And, so
Do you have any pictures of your show?
I don't know how to do that. I can, honey, do you know how to share a picture?
Call the tech man. I have another question for you, Melynda. Because like Marianne says, this is how she's selling her art mainly, is doing the home show as her big event. And that, do you have, I know you used to have your gourds at Columbia Art League, and I know you used to do Silver Dollar City. So do you have your gourds anyplace else
No,
at this time?
I just do fall to
Oh.
art. I have on my information, and a bunch of my information is on my, well, is it Facebook or what is it? Etsy?
Yeah.
Etsy and Facebook, but I do have actual video of my show. To my husband, the last, I don't know, 5 or so years, has taken video in the morning, and we put that. So that is on my Facebook, Enchanted Gourd Art Facebook. And I make cards for my advertising. At the very beginning, of course, we didn't have all of that. So I was putting ads in the paper and I was handing cards out. We have this Fall into Art, which has now moved to Knights of Columbus, which is about a mile or just about 2 miles from me. And since I've done that, I've given my card out at the Fall into Art, and my numbers have just gone up because I would go, I'm just 1.5 miles up there. So it didn't seem so far. And it's amazing. My numbers totally went up with that. But yeah, I do have video and I apologize. I just don't know how to do it. enchantedgourdart.com has lots of pictures and video of my shows. I'm not on the computer that has that. His computer doesn't have it. So I'm doing this. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Anyway.
If you'd like, I can share your Facebook and show it if you'd like, because I can see it up on my screen.
The video the videos are kind of fun because you see how everything's laid out, like Marianne
Here, like
laid
the
out.
Instagram reels and the videos and things.
Yeah. So that's kind of fun. Have a little music, Christmas music in the background running, and then he does the video.
Nice.
Well, that's our downstairs. Oh, man, why is that on? Oh, that's my new workspace. I moved downstairs. I enjoyed, there we go. There we go. I think there's some picture. I set everything all up and make it all Christmassy and, oh, there you go. Thank you. I appreciate that.
It's magic.
And now
And
that
it probably
pardon me?
it probably helps a lot too. Melynda, I know that
Wow.
a lot of your gourds are holiday themed, and I think that's probably a big selling point during the holiday season. I mean, so I think
These aren't
well done, because I
necessarily
know
the
like
home show. Those are just my gourds, but that's not necessarily the home show. I don't know sorry. I try and guide, and I don't know how to do all that. Where would the videos be? Under videos?
Yeah. Under video.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, gourd. Okay.
top one.
What here? Top one?
The top
the
one's
top
from
one said-
2016.
Oh, okay.
There's one from 2019. This one's from 23. Is that the one you're thinking of last year?
Yeah, that would have been my, probably, there we go. So he goes around.
Those are wonderful.
Thank you. Now, this is the main room, and then I have, yeah, well, it'll show.
You know what I'm seeing, like with Marianne's pictures and with yours, what I think I really like about the home shows is it really just, it has that homey feel. And it's like, I could see this, my house, it's not as utilitarian as an art show. I guess these your home shows have personality. I like that they have the personality.
It is, yeah, it is me. And Marianne, that is her, you know, that's what's nice. And I tell you what, they drive out there, they are gonna buy some. They are not gonna, I rarely have anybody come out here and not buy something. Because they take the effort and the time, you know.
Yeah. Do you grow all your
Maggie?
gourds?
I grow and I dry. I mean, I grow and I buy. And I just came back from the gourd show last week, and filled the van up. So I have my downstairs basement is filled with personalities waiting to come out.
My question was, do you have other artists join you at any different times when you have shows? Or is your whole show your own stuff?
It's just me now.
Okay.
Because they just drive out for the gourds. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
felt at the beginning, I invited other artists probably for about 5 years, but I would feel bad because they weren't selling and I was selling and they were coming out for the gourds. And, you know, I hemmed and hawed and they said, why don't you just do it on your own? Just do it on your own. Okay. So
Makes sense.
I think that Marianne does that's very, very smart is she's putting some of the responsibility on her artists that are in the show with her to advertise also. So she's given, you know, assigning each artist a week. This is the week you're promoting the show and stuff like that. Because like Melynda, you probably were doing all of the effort yourself. If you got to distribute that weight amongst all your artists, you know, if you're gonna have other people in it and have them responsible for putting on their social media and emailing their contacts and stuff too, you gotta, you know, if you're gonna share that, you gotta share everything.
Well, and that's another
So
reason I have
have
to
a
be,
question.
oh, I'm sorry. That's another reason I have to be particular about who's in the show. I mean, it's not all
I have a
about
question,
Mary-
Marianne.
Marianne,
Yes.
do you charge the other artists, take a commission, anything like that?
There's a $50 booth fee now, and then we also split the cost of printing the postcards and the wine that we buy. So it's under $100 usually total.
Per person?
And they need to be present. Let's see, what else do they need to do? Yeah, they need to be here the whole time if possible, barring emergencies, and yeah.
Okay.
But I think for me, it's helpful. It's like people know my name, I guess, but you know, and it would be far easier for me to do just myself, but it is really nice to have other people. Plus, it's more fun. You know, when you have your other artists in the house for some days. Although, like I said, my big room over here has 5 people, and then there's a middle one over here, and then over there. So not everybody gets to see everybody all the time.
Right.
You know, we push people to the other people's artwork.
Marianne, do you have any pets? Do you have any cats or dogs?
2 dogs.
Okay, and Melynda, I know you got dogs. What do you guys do with your pets during the shows? Do you let them just do their thing, or do you put them in another room? What do you do with your pet?
I actually wrote notes for this morning. I said dogs barking because the dog, we have one dog and I have an open, you know, come on in sign on the door. And so people come in, he barks, he sniffs, and then he's good but I don't like it. But yes, I let the dog mill around and because he settles down within a minute and people don't mind. I mind, but people don't mind.
I'm exactly that, except one of my dogs isn't nice to kids. So as soon as we see kids, we dispose of the white dog for a while. He gets to go in a room or something, or my kids have to take care of him. But you know,
Right.
people like dogs.
Yeah,
It makes your home more homier.
Yeah.
Unless people don't like dogs, and they can tell me that, and I can get rid of the dogs for a while. happy to do that too, because it's respectful. I mean, you have to understand people are coming into your home and you need to accommodate them as well,
Yeah.
Right.
a little.
I I have another question too. Anybody, you got questions, ask these ladies. Do you ever have any concerns about someone stealing something in your home? If they're walking all over your home, you can't, be with them all the time. Do you have any concerns on that?
I don't think I've ever had a theft in my home, but I had in the very beginning, in the early stages, there were some shady looking people and we kind of kept an eye on them, and we just kind of followed them around the room, and then we went, and then they left, and I had a beautiful quartz crystal this big out in the yard. And I could see the guy saying to the girl, she goes, "Oh, look at that." And he says, "Well, just take it." And he picked it up, and I ran outside on the porch and I said, "It's pretty, isn't it?" And they put it back down. And that's the only time I really, inside, I don't, because I have not. I just have not had that problem.
I
Mary?
don't think I have. Everybody watches out for everybody else. And people are busy, we know a lot of the people that come in here. We don't know some of them, which is good. You want new customers. But we don't get riffraff. Now, I have to tell you one antidote, but we had a gal who used to come every year, and she drinks a lot and she eats a lot, and she doesn't buy usually. Sometimes she buys, but we worry about her driving home.
Oh,
So,
Mm.
there are little things like that. Sometimes if we see her coming in, we put the wine away. And
Yeah.
because I don't want to be responsible for somebody hurting themselves, which I don't know that I would be, but still, we're all aware of little things here.
Right.
And yeah.
Anybody else got some questions in here? I mean, this is a good discussion going on here.
I can ask you guys some questions. Are you interested in having home shows at your house or with someone else?
I might be interested in doing it with somebody else. My
Mhm.
house is not big enough.
Yeah.
Also, my other question is those display boards that you had standing up to put stuff on, where do you get those? Those would be handy to have even if you did a show, like for us to be Walnut Street Art Fest or something.
Yeah, they're pro panels, aren't they? You guys that use those? They're styrofoam covered by carpet, and you just purchase them online, or maybe if there's some kind of used or artists are going out of business. So they don't really weigh anything. They're rather bulky. I keep them in my garage.
Right.
And so another thing is if I decide I'm not using all of my stuff, all my tables, all my panels, I do loan them to my artists, chairs, so they don't have to deal. But usually everybody brings their own stuff. And one other thing I wanted to mention was lighting. So lighting is really, really, really important. And I do tell them that when we're at our meeting, that they're responsible for getting lighting. I mean, there's lighting in my house, obviously, but if they want better lighting, they need to bring that.
Good idea.
So yeah, so feel around and see, I don't know what your product is, but see if there's anybody else you like, that you think you'll have a good mix of customers and the products, are good with each other. Ask and see. Doesn't have to be a big deal. It can be a small deal.
And Ruth, often, like yesterday, I know Melanie Hancock posted on the Best Missouri member only page of another artist that's selling their tent and their pro panels and all that kind of stuff. The artist garage sale is a good place to be to watch for things like that. I know that I got my walls for $300 from an artist that was retiring and knew they're going to cost you $1,200-$1,300. Or
Wow.
if you're handy, like Molly Chenard's on here, she built like her print bins and stuff like that, doing the same thing, an inner core and carpeted it and stuff. So, I mean, there's all kinds of options out there, but you don't have to buy brand new.
Right.
Definitely. You can find the pro panels and stuff like that used from another artist that's retiring or upgrading, so, but they do
Good
make things handy.
Yeah, I taught art, and so I've displayed stuff on those, but I never had to buy any. Wasn't really sure where to get them or what to call them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm not
Well,
sure
and
who
I
iPhone 2 has a question, says, I would love to do a home show. I do one at a gallery, but dragging glass all over is a pain. I'm just convinced about inviting the public into my home. May try with just a few friends. So, and so far, both our panelists, they've had good experiences with inviting people to their home. That would be my concern too, just inviting people into my home, because I live out in the country too, and I live in a bad neighborhood. And so,
Sorry, but
I would say give
have
it
you
a
ever
try.
driven-
maybe,
I'm sorry.
I would
Have
say
you
give
ever
it a
driven Fenton Road? It's just north of me. Never mind. Go ahead.
I would say give it a try. Hey, just pick a weekend with someone and tell your friends, put it on Facebook. You're not going to have 100 people your first time out, maybe. And I've considered actually doing
and maybe
just a weekend or something out on my front in my garage area or in my driveway or something, just to see how people
React.
Yeah, it is easier to move it from your basement to your driveway than it is to move it into boxes, into, to someplace very far away. But that's one of the reasons it's at my house.
mm-hmm.
I think it's such a great
And that's
idea.
another.
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
No,
Go ahead, Cindy.
I think it's a great idea just to try. And like Marianne, what you just said is we shouldn't try to start out and think it's going to be this huge hundreds of people come the first time. But I always get people that say, hey, can I stop by? Do you have your art set up? Can I come see what you got? And I think if we spread it, get 3-4 other artists just to give it a shot, what do we have to lose? I mean, your friends are going to come if nothing else. So I'm loving
And that's especially good if you teach classes or something too, because then people are like, oh, look, oh, there's your studio. Oh, you mean I could do this? Yeah.
My question is, do your neighborhood have, and does your neighborhood have any requirements that you can't have in business inside your home? Or if you go out to your driveway and set something up, is that ever a problem for subdivision? It's like some Shiite Nazi HMO thing,
For me, I'm in Glendale and I'm on Sappington, and so is the police station down the street.
Okay.
So, and I know what they expect. Every once in a while, I look to see if it's the same thing. I'm really not supposed to be selling product out of my home. They know I had an occupancy permit that allowed me to make product, but they don't want you to store stuff, and they don't want you to be a business in your home. So I just kind of try to not do that. When I have my shows, I consider them garage sales, once a year things that happen, or twice a year things that happen. I luckily have a lot of space in my street where people can park. I warn my neighbors, or they know that I'm having my sale. Nobody's ever complained. I did once put my Bear Designs logo out on my front yard, and they made me take that away. But I can have art sale here, or show today, or sale today, or something.
Okay.
So you have to ask, is my answer to that.
Right.
See how strict they are.
Okay.
And I
Yeah.
love the wine o'clock happy hour thing. So I don't know which one of you said that, but that Jamie. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, anytime you can get people to come to your house, have a little setup if you can. And even if your house is a small house, you have a lot of stuff, maybe you've got one place in your studio where your work is displayed. I know Patty's got her beautiful studio in her area there, and so it's easy to walk into. One of my daughters, I finally used her room for quote unquote my gallery. So I've got my work stored there, but in a way you can look at it.
Idea.
So a constant home show, basically, if it works out that way.
Those are all good ideas. Thank you.
Mhm.
That's good.
And I saw that Cindy, who's on here, has said that she would like to maybe try doing a home show with a couple other artists or something. Well, today doesn't have to be the end of this discussion. Okay. You guys have access to the Best Missouri Hands member only Facebook page. Get on there, and have a discussion. And maybe, there's a couple people on here who'd be like, oh, let's pick one of our houses and we can get together and try something like that. So there's no reason you guys can't continue this. And I know that Marianne and Melynda both would be happy to answer questions. You could always shoot them a message on Facebook and stuff and ask them how they handled something. And so don't let this be the end. This is the beginning. Okay. This is the beginning. And
Another thought for those that are in subdivisions, there might be a clubhouse. And if you have enough artists and enough space in the clubhouse, you could rent it out and share that cost of the renting it out and still have a neighborhood art show, which
Great
you might
idea.
even get some free advertising if you've got a neighborhood Facebook group or other way to advertise that it's there in the neighborhood. It's not in your home, but it's in your neighborhood.
Our church has a huge foyer that they let the community use if you sign up for it enough ahead of time. So it would be something that you could do too. I mean, it would be really big. I mean, you could have a lot of artists in there if you wanted to have an art show.
So running an art show is not all that easy.
I'm sure.
I'm just putting that in. There are some fails. It takes a lot of organization and you end up with a lot of responsibility, which is actually totally okay, but beware. And I say, give it a try, have your stuff, just say open house today. I'm showing all my clothing that I've made in the past year just to see, and some experimental stuff. Come on in and see. But as casual as it is, if you show yourself to be professional, you can, people will believe in you more. They'll trust you more if you have a business card or if you have a little sign that looks like you put some effort into it. Just little things, but casual. They like to, yeah. Mm-hmm.
How do you handle, since you have multiple artists, how do you handle the sales monetarily?
It's all their own gig.
They have to deal with it all themselves. So
Yes.
how do you handle it?
No, they have to pay me a booth fee.
No, I
And the
mean,
booth fee again covers, like, my cleaning lady comes beforehand and my electricity and just little stuff like that. Otherwise, I'm just charging them for how much the cards costs, divided by whatever, and how much the wine costs. And from learning this, we changed some years ago to having all the wine just for the customers, because you have to bring your own wine. We were having some artists that drank a lot of customer wine. We have customer wine and artist wine.
Ruth, on what you're asking, Marianne, and stuff. Most artists nowadays have a way to do sales, because if you're at an art show, you're going to have to handle your own sales. It's not like a gallery where someone comes up, picks up a piece and goes to the cash register and they can have multiple artists working.
I mean, it'd be best to be able to handle debit cards and credit cards and stuff. So Squarespace.
Well, there's Apple Pay and stuff. He's like, here's my phone. I'm like, what do I do with that?
PayPal,
Venmo,
Venmo, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Home shows, back at the beginning.
You should get something set up for you.
Home shows in the beginning are so much different than now because of all the ability to get the word out. I mean, it's just
Well,
totally.
I do want to say one thing. When I have, especially in the basement, because I can't be downstairs and upstairs, I have somebody help me the whole time downstairs, and everybody gets a receipt so that I know what sold, how much it cost. There are mistakes, charged the wrong tax, charged her twice, told her she could have that for free, whatever. So if you have a record of it, it's easier to go backwards and fix things. And I take a picture
Patty,
too.
you have
Oh
a
yeah,
question?
that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to share kind of a funny story. The neighborhood that I live in does every June there's a garage sale day. So a couple of years ago, I thought, oh, this would be a great opportunity to do a studio sale. I would kind of set up I had like an art for sale sign that I hung on the mailbox. And I figured since there were people going to be in the neighborhood, Roy actually pulled the wheel out in the driveway and he was doing like wheel throwing demos. And it was pretty good. Like I did some sales, but it was so funny because there were garage sale people are a very special breed of people. And there were some that would come up the driveway and look around and go, oh, this is just art. And, would turn around. But I mean, it was decent. I mean, and obviously not having to do any kind of booth fee. I mean, it was, other than the night before kind of setting up, but I set up a couple pro panels. I set up, a couple tables, and it was more so selling like some of those seconds, some of that pottery that was, taking up space. So, I mean, it was neat to be able to do it. I've been interested in doing it again, but we haven't been around the past couple of years where where the garage sale happens, but even something like that. And then I didn't feel as if, people needed to come into my house. Everything was set up outside. So that's even a suggestion, where if you're having some kind of community event in your neighborhood, try and just set up a little area and see if you can sell art that way too.
Good idea.
You had your garage door
Are there
open,
any
right,
other
Patty?
questions?
So they were able to come in the garage and see all your stuff because your garage is all got all your.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that was neat because I had it like that they could come in and see where the kilns were. I actually had a little table that I had like a box of donuts out to for people to, grab a donut if they wanted. And so it was neat. I mean, I was giving out business cards and, I think it was a neat opportunity, but it was, I didn't want to commit 100%. I didn't want to do like that. I'm going to do a home show, but now, I mean, this is inspiring. I would love to do it. I think it's a really, really neat opportunity. So I appreciate the information.
Well, I say just jump in if you feel like it at all. Just jump in, cut your teeth on it, and get like I said, this year will be my 30th year, and look how long Marianne's been doing it. And I mean, I think consistency is a big deal on keeping your date consistent, so people are looking for it. They're expecting it. And for me, like I said, I got to have them drive not way out in the country, but in the country. And so them having that thought in their head and of just, oh, that's coming up, because I do have a lot of repeat customers, and I have people that just just load up a area. They go all around the room and they just load up an area with their gourds that they want to purchase. And I love it. It really fills my heart. I really do enjoy it a lot. I really do enjoy it. I have had, I would say my good experiences have totally, I don't even know how, I haven't really had bad experience. I will tell you 1 year though, that early on, it snowed that weekend. Nobody came.
Oh,
Except my neighbor who feeds the horses and came over and bought something and ate some food. But that was my one and only customer that year. But dang it, I was consistent. I did it.
oh my gosh.
Can I ask you ladies a question? Just out of curiosity, kind of like, what's your price range? Like just on your artwork alone, Marianne, I know you got other artists, but for your work alone, like what's your lower priced item and what's your highest priced item that you offer during your shows?
I have a few things. I have a few things under $30, but 30 to, well, I have some fancy pots, 300 something, but mostly everything's in the 75 to 125.
And I have I started making these little $15 birds and they were selling real well on Etsy. And so I made a bunch of them and so that about 15. And then last year I sold a Santa that was about, I don't know, it was about 200, 250. It was 250. So that was probably my biggest, highest price sale there. So, and they range all between that, every bit of that. The prices range from all the way across on that. So.
Okay. Anybody got questions? We've gotten a lot of good information today.
So do you feel
And-
like
and,
do you feel like the shows are financially beneficial? Quite financially beneficial?
Yes, I do. It's
Yeah.
nice to have some Christmas money.
And back to having people in your show, I'm splitting the amount of money people are spending amongst the other artists, but they wouldn't necessarily be buying my product anyway. Do you see what I'm saying? So it benefits my artists, which I care about. And they keep coming back because they do really well. I'm like, oh, how'd you do? And they're like, really great. Can I come next year? But I like to mix it up too.
How important is your mailing list and or followers, do you think, in getting the attendees?
For me, I don't know how else they would hear about it because I don't advertise in magazines. I have once maybe or twice in the Webster Kirkwood Times, but that's very public feeling. You know what I mean? That's sort of so public. But I do it on Nextdoor. Do you guys know what Nextdoor is?
Oh,
You
yes.
can take it and you can put it on, and Kim is fantastic about anything I post, she reposts. I'm like, you don't have to post that again. But so Best Missouri Hands knows when I'm doing whatever. The more you can get your word out, and that's why it's so important that your artists that are with you or whatever else show it in all of their places because they have fingers elsewhere, that their reach is elsewhere.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
You guys are welcome to call me if you have any other questions. I don't know what I can answer, but
Yeah, and this is being recorded, and so anybody who wants to watch it again or share it or whatever, it will go up on the Best Missouri Hands YouTube channel. Depending on if my internet stays strong today, I'll get it up sometime today, but it'll be up in the next day or two. So feel free to, share with your friends or whatever and stuff, or go back and review. But I will also on the member only page, I'll put links to both the ladies' websites or, Facebook pages, things like that, and tag them so that you can message them and stuff if you got questions and,
I have one more thing.
And I know Cindy.
One more thing that doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily have to do with your home show, except if you can donate your stuff to a variety of places, your name will be better known. I donate a lot of stuff, and it's really helpful.
Okay. Good
What
to
kind of
know.
places do you donate it to?
Organizations that I care about, usually not for profits and things like that. I do ask sometimes if I'm donating something, you know, I won't donate something really great or expensive if there isn't other art in the auction, but because then it doesn't get seen as art. They don't really know what they're looking at, but I do like to donate. It's fun. It's nice to donate.
Yeah.
I know that I donated some pieces to my vet, just because they were not pieces that I really was going to show or anything. Once I finally got my head gripped on what my aesthetics are and stuff. And I've gotten a couple sales because they hung my business card up there, you know, along the image and stuff. But I've gotten a couple sales, you know, from customers at the vet's office that seen my work. And you know, so you know, like Marianne said, you know, especially if you got a nonprofit you like or something like that, because I mean, people will nickel and dime you to death asking for free art. You know, we'll promote you, you'll get, you know, noticed, blah, 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 and stuff like that. A lot of that stuff, you know, I used to do it and now I just kind of really avoid it unless it is something that I do have a passion with. And so I agree with her that, you know, that is a way too. The more your art is out there, the more people recognize it, recognize your face. And that's another thing too, that I'm always a proponent of, is that you got to put your face out there too. You know, I know a lot of artists were introverts and shy and all that, and we want to hide behind our art, you know, Molly. But you know what? People, they need to connect. You know, it's not that you got this, you know, they don't have to wonder you got this over in China or something like that. They're like, oh yeah, I know that art and I know that artist. I've seen her on Facebook, blah, 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 and stuff like that. I just got recognized in Montgomery City, inky dinky little town. I never go there. I don't like it. I always go to Warrenton or towards St. Louis to do all my shopping, but I had to go that way for something. And I went in the grocery store just to grab some cookie dough and, you know, some other things that I don't need to eat. And I'm checking out, and this lady says, do you live in New Florence? And I'm like, you know, that's kind of scary because I don't want people to know, you know, and nobody good lives in New Florence. And I'm like, yeah, kind of, you know, and she goes, I've read your book. And, you know, she recognized my pictures because my picture of me is in my book and stuff like that. And you know, so try not to hide behind your art only, because people are interested in you and your story. And that's why they come to the home shows. You know, they, like Marianne said, they get to see the artist and talk with them and learn more about them. If you go into Melynda's house, I mean, you know, I just walk around, you know, I've been out there twice now, I think, with my mouth, you know, just seeing all the amazing things that she's created and stuff. And it's just beautiful. And it just blends with her home and everything like that. I mean, so don't be afraid to put yourself out there. You know, get beside your art, put yourself out there too, you know, because you are the art and the art is you.
And
Good.
the people they like a piece of you. I mean, they if they like your art, they're getting a piece of you also, and your personality and your love. And I did want to say, Kim, your posting has been great on Best Missouri. Your reposts have been so good on Best Missouri Hands. I mean, I never had the opportunity to say thank you, thank you, thank you. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I really appreciate it.
You are welcome, but I'm just kind of, I'm the face that puts it myself out there. There's lots of us that do all that kind of stuff, you know, but you are most welcome. I mean, I'm grateful to know all you guys, and Best Missouri Hands is lucky. It's such a wonderful group, and we want to share everybody's art. We want to get it out there and stuff. So, it's my pleasure to do what I get to do. I have fun. I love it. So, but you're welcome.
And you're good. You're good.
Oh,
Thank you. Let's see, we've got, Yeah, Patty loves me. I love her too. uh,
Me too.
there's a couple faces on here. Yeah, I love almost everybody on here. I don't love the people yet that I don't know, but I think I will love you. Like Ruth, I haven't met you, and is it Nikki Barr? I don't know that I've met you. If I have, I'm sorry. I have a bad memory. It takes me a while to get someone ingrained in my head, but once I do, you're there. Or if I can relate you to a dog or something like, oh yeah, she kind of looks like a golden retriever, then I'll remember easier.
Are you Temple
know?
Brandon? What's going on here?
That's,
I love
that's a
it.
compliment.
I know, it totally is.
All right. Anybody have any questions for these ladies before we all get about our day? All right.
Just a big
Next
thank
month,
you.
What was your question?
yeah.
I was just gonna get a
Next-
thank you so much for this information. It's just great. Thank you.
I'm so impressed you guys hung around for an hour.
And
Well, this is relevant information. This is something that I think that could benefit, a lot of our artists, and it's another option of how to make a little money, because as artists, you have to have different funnels out there, and like I know Melynda's on Etsy and stuff like that, and you got art shows and galleries, but this is it sounds like it's a viable opportunity, because Marianne's been doing it 35 years, Melynda's been doing it 30 years. So obviously there's something good about it, so
We're stubborn.
I'd encourage everybody.
That's what it takes.
Yeah, right?
I'll post the video in my Facebook group, my Art in Springfield Facebook group. We've got 2,000 or 3,000 members now, so they're all artists. We'll get some word out.
Perfect.
Maybe more people can get seen that way.
Woo,
That would
Kim,
be
you're
wonderful.
exploding.
I do that on occasions. And Sylvia, I'm not sure if we've ever met. The name is not, but you're saying you're new to Zoom in that. Well, I will tell you what, Best Missouri Hands has a Zoom encouragement meeting the first Tuesday of every month. You can get on there. We'll play with you, help you. It's open to everybody and anybody, and we talk about everything and anything, so join us on one of those. We'll walk you through Zoom. And then on the second Tuesday of each month, we have our professional development workshops like we're doing today. Next month, I think we're going to have Micah Konecki. She's a scrimshaw artist, has been with Best Missouri Hands for eternity. And I think she used to be a president or a director. And she's going to kind of talk to us about the history of Best Missouri Hands, because it's kind of, it's interesting. So hopefully you'll be able to join us for that. And we'll post others as we get them tied down. And if there's ever anything that you guys would like to learn about, know something about, Wanda and I, we'll reach out there. We'll find folks that can cover almost any topic. Okay, except for how to learn to love your vegetables, because I don't love my vegetables. So Wanda would be responsible for that one. But other than that, we can probably find somebody. Yeah.
I put the date of my home show on the chat, so just FYI.
And I encourage you all that are thinking about it to follow Marianne and Melynda on Facebook and elsewhere, so you can see how they're advertising and possibly go to their home show. There's no better way to see how it's done than to go in person.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Melynda, is your home show the same?
I think mine's yours is Marianne, the 7th and 8th of December, or 6th, 7th, 8th of December. Okay, mine's the 7th and 8th of December also. So yeah, we try and hover around that first weekend in December is what I try and do, is
all right,
around that.
perfect. All right,
it's gonna explode again.
It's been a fun time, ladies. Thank you so much,
you.
everybody, for joining us today.